So the New York Jets put in a waiver claim for recently waived defensive lineman, formerly of the Los Angeles Chargers, Jerry Tillery, who was a former first-round pick. And the first thing that stood out to me is, could have been a little 2.0 of John Franklin Myers. A lot of similarities. So Tillery, high draft capital, first-round pick, first few seasons, just hasn't panned out. Back and forth from defensive tackle to defensive end, scheme changes, coaching changes, just hasn't caught his groove. And he's a little bit of a tweener, 6'6", 290 pounds, a little light to play defensive tackle, not quite the burst to play defensive end. Sounds a lot like John Franklin Myers, who's a third-round pick of the Rams, and really didn't pop until his age 25 season in his second year with the Jets after they plucked him off the waiver wire a couple of years ago. And a couple of takeaways. Number one, hey, it's nice not to be first on the waiver wire list because that means you're a good football team. Number two, Joe Douglas waits for no man because he knows this is a win now football team. Breece Hall's gone. 48 hours later, get me Brian Robinson. Let's go. We got a playoff push to make. You love to see it. And number three, I think we're starting to see Joe Douglas. He has that knack for finding value for guys that other teams have kind of discarded a little bit. We saw it with JFM. We saw it with Braxton Berrios. We saw it with George Fant to an extent for last season until he got hurt. And now with Nate Herbig and Quan Alexander and Greg Zerloin, these cheap sort of reclamation guys who are coming to the Jets and having bounce back years. I mean, what better value is there out there than Nate Herbig and Quan Alexander making less than $4 million combined? Imagine if we didn't sign those guys. Imagine if we didn't bring in Greg Zerloin. Man, you love to see it. So Joe Douglas, he knows he's got a win now football team. And I think we have a GM. We know he can sign high quality free agents, DJ Reed. We know obviously he can draft himself some studs, but also I think he has an eye for underutilized and underperforming talent on other teams that he can go ahead and have be difference makers with the New York Jets. That's on our GM. Hey, how about our head coach? Let's talk about Robert Saleh. Click below. He's exactly who he thought he was. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll talk football soon.